Discover the heartbeat of Lexington at the Marriott City Center, your premier downtown destination. Let us handle all your meeting needs, whether you're planning a corporate gathering or a special celebration. Our elegant, versatile spaces provide the perfect setting for every moment. Don't forget about our great room bar, a perfect spot to stop in after work or before a game to enjoy handcrafted signature cocktails. You don't need to be a hotel guest. Just relax and unwind. Whether you're gearing up for the game or winding down afterward, Lexington Marriott City Center, your ultimate destination to stay, connect, and celebrate. We've got everything you need to make every moment unforgettable. I'm former All-SEC defensive end Jeremy Jarman, joined by former QB1 Morgan Newton. Lock in. This is the LetterWinner Podcast. It's June. You may hear an occasional cicada or a car horn in the background. I'm not homeless, bro. I'm out on the screened in patio, getting some of that fresh air. I don't want anybody worrying about me. I just needed a change of pace, man. I need to be able to sit outside, get some of this fresh air. I'm glad to be back at the center of the UK universe with my guy, former UK QB1 Morgan Newton. Let's go ahead and swipe, bash, tap, punch, click, whatever you got to do. Newt, lock in. It's like a lot to talk about going into this episode. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsor at Lexington Marriott City Center. Newt, I don't know if you've had a chance to get in there yet, but the housing is ambient. For me, close proximity to Goodfellas, where I can hit out that fire escape on the backside on one of them Friday, Saturday nights, run, get me a couple slices of pie, come back in. It's just a great location, great setup. They take care of all our letter winners when they come back in town, when they need a place to just unplug or come back into town and actually plug into the source and be right in the mix. That rooftop bar, have you been up on that rooftop bar yet? Have you been in that pool yet, Newt, at the Marriott City Center?
I spent time at the bar downstairs, beautiful bar downstairs, great location. Some friends of ours, we spent some time at that bar right before we went to the Heart Ball. It was a great place to meet before you go and spend some charitable time with the Heart Ball. That's a great cause. They do a great job, the American Heart Association here in Lexington and around the world. Spend some time doing business meetings up in their conference room. They've got some great business space to conduct business meetings. I've always had great experiences. Valet, super easy, super simple, very modern location. But I look forward to maybe a staycation or bringing family in there to stay, maybe grabbing a meal and potentially getting up there to that rooftop bar that you're mentioning.
Yeah, it's a good spot. I got those dates already staked out, September, October, November. Pretty pumped about those stays. But all in all, can't thank our friends enough at the Marriott. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the LetterWinner Pod. I'm Jeremy Jarman.
I'm Morgan Newton.
Newt, this is the only show that loves athletes more than it loves nostalgia. I believe that. Trust me, I love nostalgia. I love all these things 90s. I miss the 1999 pizzas from Pizza Hut and all of those things out of the 90s, bro. So when I say that we love athletes, we love the culture, we love where this thing is going, for the most part, I mean it. This will start out somber. Big news, redshirt freshman defensive lineman Nic Smith from Georgia found dead in his college dorm room. Football team shaken to its core. This young man's friends, family, absolutely devastated. I saw a statement that his mom put out today. It breaks your heart. What are your thoughts on this Nic Smith situation?
Yeah, it's very sad. When you see the posts start rolling through on Instagram, folks like Slacks and Stein and others, the first inclination you have is to try to go figure out what happened, right? This is usually the first question, when we really should probably be taking a step back and giving credence to the fact that it happened and that we should reflect in that moment. It's just really sad. A young life, still very young. I know that through some stories has some family things that were going on, maybe not the most conventional of home lives. You should just feel sad for him and his family and anybody that had a relationship with Nick and was touched by him. It's just a horrible thing.
I saw some of the comments as well, but I think that's human nature. It's not normal for a 20-year-old to be found dead in their college dorm room. Everybody's thinking it. Everybody's wondering it. I've seen comments alluding to some various things. Haven't asked anybody anything. Right now, I'm just thinking about Nick's family, thinking about his friends, his loved ones, his football team, his football staff. Very encouraging to hear that the football staff has picked up the phone, called all the parents. They've called team meetings to bring all the players into the building. to talk with these guys, to talk about Nick, to talk about what they're feeling, what they're dealing with. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about this with a kid local here in the Louisville area, right across the bridge in New Albany, Indiana. We find ourselves back in a situation. It just seems like a few months ago that we were talking about Ben Christman, former UK offensive lineman, had transferred out west and had passed away. Another tragedy that impacts this UK football team in such a short time period. I'm sure that they're receiving guidance from the university and from some mental health experts as well. This is absolutely alarming, not only for Kentucky athletics, but for college athletics, for professional athletics as a whole. They're going to have to pull some of these resources together and figure out what they can do to open up and have these conversations. You and I, we've talked about it. We've talked about the stresses of being a collegiate athlete. There's nothing amateur about this. The amount of pressure that's being put on these young people while they're also full-time students, while they're still actively going through some of these growth and development milestones, you're just moving out on your own in the college and you're trying to become a young adult. You're evolving from a teenager into young adulthood. There's just so much, man. There's so much. And a lot of times your athletes, they get so isolated. I'm hopeful that something tangible comes out of this that is embedded into the DNA of Kentucky football, but also SEC football in general, collegiate athletics, because this is a trend that's very uncomfortable for me as an athlete, for me as a father, and for someone who we just like supporting college athletes and letter winners and seeing these young men and young women grow and develop. And this isn't it. There's nothing acceptable about this.
Let the record be known. I don't feel like we're blaming anybody. I think it's important to make that designation. This is alarming. At this point, university, those are in the community need to take a step back and ensure that we're doing everything that we can do to support these young men and women in certain cases. You and I have talked offline about some of our teammates, some of the people that we've come in contact with, whether it be in the NFL or it be in college or even in high school. The reality is that being in it is one thing. The transition out of it is also another phase where a lot of athletes have some challenges. You go from being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid and at the University of Kentucky, usually if you go into the University of Kentucky, you are highly sought after by at least many schools and you're being recruited to you get almost a level set, brought to earth when you become the athlete, you get on campus, to almost feeling as if nobody cares about you as soon as you get done playing and take that jersey off. And it's a massive shift that happens over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, and even more when you're transferring, you don't have that home that you're really connected to, which is another thing we talk about.
The importance of getting involved in the community.
It's very easy to feel neglected, to feel as if you are forgotten.
An outsider.
An outsider. Your identity is wrapped up in this. And in order to become that successful, typically your identity needs to be wrapped up in this to some degree. So it's a challenging topic. There's a lot to it, certainly alarming. And I'd say those that are around these college athletes, specifically at UK, needed to continue to just love up on people, check in on people.
There's so much going on in this country right now. I saw Stephen A. Smith sparring with Donald Trump. Trump took a swipe last night. After the Knicks game, Stephen A. used his platform to set up a later dig. He took that off the ESPN network. But I bring that up just to say that there's a lot of politics being talked. There's a lot happening on Capitol Hill. It's not just on the gridiron or on the basketball courts where battles are being fought. The SEC, Big 12, looking like possibly that they're ready to succeed from college athletics. This is something we've talked about over the past few months. The Protect College Sports Act, that bill actually working its way through. A lot of speculation. Cruz seemed like he wanted to kill any chance of athletes being employees, but Cantwell seemed to want to protect the revenue sharing aspect. Ultimately, it seems like it's a toss-up right now between which way this thing is going to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of schools on edge, a lot of conferences on edge. At the end of the day, you try to take the morals out of this thing. They each want 30 to 35% of whatever comes out of that TV money. They're not taking anything less than what they're getting. So if you were to pull all those media revenue dollars together, SEC and the Big Ten, they want 70% of that money. And if they're not getting that, then they're out. So to me, let's talk about it from a business perspective, because I truly do not believe that these SEC presidents and these Big Ten presidents and athletic directors and their boards, that they care about the greater well-being of college sports. They care about their institutions first and the conferences second. Do you see it any other way? Do you think that the SEC, Big Ten, they're worried about upholding the NCAA in its current form?
I think those days of upholding anything in their current form are long gone. And it's hard to blame the SEC, Big Ten. I think the Big Ten has seen its value grow tremendously over the last few years as they've had some success in the playoff scenario. The SEC obviously has been on a tremendous run for the last 2 or 3 decades. So it's hard to blame them. Like anything else, any organization, any business, they're looking out for opportunities to grow, looking for opportunities to get their share of the pie, but in some cases make the pie bigger. We are headed in that direction. It's just a matter of how long does it take to get there, what happens on the journey, who really spearheads the conversation and discussion. I've heard some clips from Kirby Smart talking about the future of the SEC and how it's going to impact the non-revenue generating sports. So there's a lot to be determined. There's going to be some shifts in the models. We've spent a lot of time talking about Vanderbilt and how they've made some changes, really transformed that athletic department and what it means to Vanderbilt in the city of Nashville, in a very important city for the SEC. So I think time will tell, but there's no question that transformation is taking place.
Yeah, I had a chance to skim through this bill. I think it was about 200 pages, just shot at. In my opinion, when you look at some of the protections that supposedly are in place for athletes, it reads a little bit like these are professional athletes and we need to treat them as such. But the language still gives schools and programs the ability to limit and restrict the mobility of athletes. It basically tells me as an athlete, you got to choose wisely the first time around.
Sure.
It tells me when you read it, it talks about athletes being able to pick their majors and things like that. It all sounds great, but then as you work your way and you get to the end of the paragraph, there's the sentence that changes this whole paragraph. It talks about athletic programs being memberships, being a member of a membership program. So, yeah, you can do any major that you want, right? You can't have your scholarship taken away without cause, but a team has the ability to create and establish their own membership rules. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with an athlete a few weeks ago who was a nursing major at a public university. After she completed the program, the feedback that she got from her coach and the institution was, we'll never have an athlete come through our program again and be a nursing major. It took you away from us more than I had anticipated is essentially the feedback that she got from her coach. So when I see these languages and I'm reading through, it seems on the surface to have good intentions. But to people like us who have been a part of these programs and you've gone through it, you know the trick bags. You know the things that don't apply to you. You know the language to look out for. So you talk about healthcare. Healthcare is a monster element in this. 5 years of healthcare after you're done playing, in my opinion, that's a nothing burger. The average athlete, Newt, when you graduate from college, you're 21, 22 years old. Now I'm aware that there's some that are a few older, but guess what? A lot of these young people, they're still on their parents' insurance. They could be on their parents' insurance until they're 26.
26.
5 years of healthcare. If you have those knee operations or ACLs and shoulder ligament surgeries, I know based on evidence-based practice, that total knee operation, total hip operation, total shoulder operation, it's going to come in 20 years, not in 5 years. On the surface, the 5 years seems like a bargain. It's not. Show me the data where college athletes truly need that insurance within that 5-year window of being done playing. It doesn't have as big of an impact as they make it seem. The athletes have to get involved. And that's where I'm going with this conversation. They have to get involved at a local level. They have to get involved at a state level and also at a national level. We got guys on this football team that I think the world of, a Ty Bryant, for example. And I look at a guy like Ty, and I know he's got a ton already going on. He's academic All-American, All-SEC safety. If he were to be our representative to go to SEC Media Days coming up here pretty soon, I'd like to see him peel out of there for 30 minutes. Go meet up with the leaders from the other SEC teams. Go talk with those guys. I'd like to see the players align. They keep the players, for the most part, pretty separate. When I went down, I had no interaction with athletes from the other schools while I was at SEC Media Days. That's intentional, right? That's intentional. It's time for them to align. These guys are right at the forefront, Newt. They have an opportunity to not only leave a legacy on the football field because we know that they're good players because they're at SEC Media Days, but they can also leave their legacy by utilizing the ability right now to align with some of these other athletes and start asking their institutions for certain things. These guys are being paid. It's time for these guys to put money in a pot and have somebody representing them on a local level. And then collectively having someone represent them players across the conference. Everybody's got somebody sitting at the table representing their best interests.
Yeah.
The CSC, the presidents, the athletic directors, the multimedia rights holders. Everybody has somebody there representing them. The SEC and the Big Ten, if they're the premier conferences, these players, it's time for them to take a step up, utilize some of these funds and these resources, lawyer up and make sure that the contracts that they're getting, that they're good contracts, that they're standard, negotiate these things through, and build some relationship with your president of your university and with the people that you're going to be interacting with for years to come. What are your thoughts on some of these things?
There's a lot to unpack. You also referred to Ty Bryant, a guy that has made a concerted effort to be a Wildcat long-term.
Legacy guy.
Absolutely. And so I think for people like him, there's no doubt in my mind that they should be exploring every avenue to set up their future. He's probably somebody, I don't know if it's been announced, that'll be at SEC Media Days. He's probably somebody that's going to be a captain of this team and of this unit. I think it's critical that people like Ty get a chance to explore their professional career, but also that the community takes it a step further and really has his back as he makes that transition into life outside of football, not even life after football, because I think it should be life outside of football, the life that is congruent with football. I think that needs to be a part of the future. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this particular show and what that could look like for the longevity of our athletic programs, a little bit creative. I'd also say, too, over the last few months, we've seen several commitments come from high school players, which I don't know, maybe it's a difference of philosophy, maybe it's just the excitement around Will Stein, but there's been a significant amount. It almost reminds me of the old school days in the high school recruiting classes, how many are in these upcoming classes. And so that's, if we are bringing in those types of young people, I think we got to look at how, like you said, how we're integrating them into our community and giving them opportunities and aligning them with the right folks. So it's there. I've seen it happen, but you just got to continue to promote it.
I just look at this bill, man. It tries to restrict the two top conferences from stepping out and creating their own super league, which is exactly the direction that they could potentially be pushed into. I think it's going to be the TV networks, and whether there's some interference there from the government, some kind of collusion that prevents the TV networks from supporting a model where the two biggest leagues decided they're going to pull out and go do their own thing. I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule out that there's some things happening on that level to try to prevent those conversations from even happening. It's mind-blowing to me that the SEC, that the president's athletic directors, even ours, I remember Mitch Barnhart up in D.C. lobbying, don't know the extent of what, but you're begging for support from your politicians. And then your politicians, they're trying to turn out some bills, and you don't like what it's turned into. You don't like the strings that are attached. I don't know why the SEC was under the impression that they'd be able to be the big boy, they'd be able to drive, and everybody else would just be passengers in the car and just kind of go for a ride. They don't like the feedback, it doesn't seem, that they're getting with this potential bill that's possibly be voted on here in the coming weeks.
At the end of the day, these big enterprises, they're going to follow the money. This TV contracts, they're always going to be looking for a return on their investment on these TV contracts. And to this point, that's been one of the driving factors of the explosive growth of revenue for these colleges and institutions to a point of dependency. The numbers were not this significant 25 years ago, 30 years ago, but these programs seem to find a way to survive. And now messaging is told about how some of these programs aren't able to make some of the headway. Some of them are in trouble. Some of them are in jeopardy, mortgaging their future as it pertains to paying athletes. So just my opinion, the SEC, Big Ten, they feel like they've got an opportunity to make more, to get a larger share of the pie. I have to guess over time that's what the decision they'll make.
Yeah, there was a big lawsuit coming out of California today, some USC players suing everybody that they could put down on the paper, from the College Sports Commission to local podcasters, basically rejecting the CSC's power to reject phony NIL. To which I say, what's phony NIL? What's phony about $5 million? Like, if that's what the market value of somebody is, what's phony about it? This thing is going to absolutely implode. This genie here, there's no way to put this one back in the bottle. Different states have different laws. Some states have set themselves up better than other states. Some states would have to change laws in order to be competitive. So there's just so much nuance that every day there's just different articles, different lawsuits, different takes, different rulings. We'll see. This is another one that we could just kind of sit back and we can talk on and on about it. But yeah, man, it's pretty wild. Back in high school, I remember my coach when I was about 220 pounds. I remember the day I went home and told my mom, hey, my coach Sturmer said that he'd like to see me get up to about 250 pounds. And my mom said, what are you now? I said, I'm about 220 now. She said, so Coach Sturmer going to help with these grocery bills? What Coach Sturmer going to help with? So that was my first introduction into nutrition and trying to pack on calories, some protein shakes and things like that. I realized that part of our way that we made money for Booster Club, we sold Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits in the mornings. So I caught on pretty quick. If I sell these chicken biscuits, Coach Haney probably let me take a couple of them out the stack. And sure enough, that helped. I was able to eat some of them Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits. They were so good, bro. I had about 2 of them every morning with that strawberry jelly. And that's back with them chicken sandwiches. They only had like 3 ingredients, salt, pepper, and that pickle juice brine. Now the motherfucker got 60 ingredients, and there was nothing wrong with it when it had 3 or 4 ingredients. Why they changed the sauce, bro?
It's like anything else. Over time, things are never as simple as they once were when they had that hockey stick growth. I have a customer of mine that's in the restaurant industry, and a big part of the conversation with them is you've grown to be big, doing it the way you've done it. When do you make the decision to make those changes, those shifts, to go from 3 ingredients to 60? When does that become the decision that you make? And is that going to be what helps you see 2, 3, 4, 5x growth? In reality, a lot of our favorite organizations, favorite restaurants, they don't stay the same. They
But
change.
how's that
They're not the
profitable?
same.
How does going from 5 ingredients to 60, how is that profitable? Unless it's like crack cocaine. They know that once you get to 60, like you ain't never going back. How is that profitable?
It happens 1 quarter at a time, 1 board release at a time, 1 board meeting at a time, 1 geopolitical event at a time, 1 famine at a time, 1 shortage at a time, 1 gas problem at a time. That's how it happens. Trying to make your earnings look a certain way for the next quarter.
Yeah.
And it just stacks on top of each other. You take a group like Chick-fil-A. I remember growing up in Indianapolis when we got our first Chick-fil-A, because it was a concept that started in the South. There used to be a lot of times in airports or in malls.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really standalone restaurants, at least in the North it wasn't. We don't get them very often because it's just not on the way to school for my kids, or it's not close enough to the soccer fields on Saturday mornings. But when you get that flaky biscuit, you know what I mean? There's not a lot better.
Bro, them things was so dense. Like, you had to be careful. It's like going to like one of them pancake breakfasts and you stacked a little too high. Like, you just had to be careful. Make sure you had something that you could drink, because that thing up there kind of in that airway, you could be in trouble there. So, yeah, you had to be careful with them things, man.
Yeah, big pause. But yeah, I mean, look, I think at different points in our career, it helps to be a little bit stronger, heavier. You gain weight, then age helps you gain weight. You're trying to lose weight. It's like there's this whole cycle that happens. And even when we in the UK, back in those days, in the Coach Mark Hill days, the Coach Brooks days, nutrition meant eat a lot of food. Gain weight meant eat a lot of food. Then Coach Rock came and it became healthy snacks. You eat the right healthy snacks. And there's just a whole different philosophy.
I know you went to Carmel High School. I still see these. That's part of my algorithm now sometimes. I get out there on the socials and it'll be like, oh, look at his weight room at Carmel. It'll be like some walkthrough led by a student, some huge weight room, some big auditorium. What was your pregame meal like in high school?
Thinking back on it, there was always some type of pasta, spaghetti. They had some type of carb loading meal the night before, usually on Thursday nights. It could have been Carrabba's or some other Italian restaurant, maybe something that was donated. And we always had a captain's breakfast on Friday mornings. Coach Mo would do a captain's breakfast before school on Friday mornings. An opportunity for the 4 or 5 captains to get together, connect, talk a little bit about an opponent, maybe not talk about an opponent at all, just get together. It wasn't super sophisticated. Usually you go pick up some type of fast food, whatever, school in the game, or maybe if my mom was in town, maybe she'd cook something. I think the really neat thing about Carmel is it's a melting pot. So you've got people from all different types of cultures and communities, and their families may prepare anything different based on their family history, Italian, the Jewish, whomever else, right? But I don't think there was anything too crazy that we ate pregame. And we were young, so you can get away with a lot more when you're young without having to be a lot of nutritional value.
Yeah,
I need to address your algorithm. That's an insult. Carmel High School is above any algorithm.
I'm just telling you that once a month,
Carmel slides into the algorithm. There's something new happening, some new national merit scholar story, just something ridiculous. I'm like, man, my high school algorithm ain't sliding into mine enough. But for some reason, Carmel is. I don't know if y'all paying. Y'all got a little extra money. Y'all might be paying a little bit more to get some of them things out there on Twitter. It's part of the recruiting.
Nah, look,
Because y'all recruit regionally now, if not nationally.
as far as I know, there's not any recruiting that happens there. Carmel's just a special place, man. It's very well planned out, very well zoned, has everything you need. It's a desirable place for people to live, great school system. It just so happens to be that there's a lot of elements of Carmel that are done right, and you clearly have high aspirations. So therefore, it shows up in your algorithm. But
Yeah.
it's just a great place, man. Carmel's just a great place. I try to explain it to people that live here in Kentucky. I like Kentucky too, but it's not the same as Carmel. Very different places.
I just try to obey the speed limit when I'm going through there because them nice overpasses, somebody's paying for them. And it ain't people from Carmel. It's people like me that's cutting through, trying to get up to northern Indiana, get up to South Bend, some of these places. So I just try to stay buckled up, man, do the speed limit, set my coast. That way I don't have any issues. And thankfully, knock on wood, you know, them boys in blue, they ain't stopped me there in Carmel yet to cut that check to support the Booster Club there. And I hope to keep it that way for some time.
I'm surprised you haven't been stopped. I'll put it that way. There's no shortage of law enforcement in Carmel. Great people, though. My dad built some unbelievable relationships with Carmel police, school police. So there's some great folks. And I'd be lying if, as a young boy, when I got my license, if I didn't say I'd been pulled over a time or two. But usually they're pretty cool about it, and they let me go on my way. So I'm thankful for Carmel law enforcement. They do a great job. But, yeah, I'm surprised you haven't been pulled over on your trips to U.S.
I'm not. I'm not at all. My pregame meal, the hardest decision that I had to make was chicken or beef. For me, junior, senior year, bro, them ramens. And I didn't know it until 10, 15 years later that them ramens down there in Memphis was probably keeping me hydrated because that 2,000 milligrams of sodium was probably preserving me too at the same time. But yeah, man, I never caught cramps down there. It was probably because of them ramens, but I was hungry at halftime. I had to get some snacks. And once I started, that stomach started growling, I started to supplement with that Jersey Mike's, that Philly. That Jersey Mike's Philly was a solid one, man. Delicious, diabolical with them jalapenos on it, bro. So the chicken or beef ramens with the Jersey Mike's Philly, that was my pregame special.
It's funny. You mentioned cramps. I only caught cramps one time when I was in high school. When I was a senior, we played on a Saturday on TV on ESPN. And it was the only time I caught cramps. We played at 12 o'clock in the morning. And so that was foreshadowing for what college would be like with those noon kickoffs. But it was the only time I caught cramps because most of those games are on Friday nights in high school. So it's a little bit different. Sun's not out, not as hot. The high school days, those are great days. Great days.
Yeah, man. I look back on them days, man, what I would do for like a, God dang, like, they do them time capsules. What I do circa 93 Pizza Hut Meat Lovers Pizza. Freeze dry, just add some water to it, throw it in the oven. What I do for that thing. Bro, it's a tragedy when I look back on a Power 5 institution and eating Burger King sandwiches before practice. Like, you know, a couple Maseratis out there, a couple Ferraris, you know, some F-250s and 350s, and, you know, you gassing them up with fast food, man. Now, 20 years later, that nutritioning, which definitely is not a word, it's done completely different now 20 years later. But you're not going to tell me, Newt, I was in them classes. The textbooks haven't changed, bro. There's nothing that we studied 20 years ago when it came to eating a balanced meal to today that justifies eating Burger King before practice at an SEC school.
Look, there's no doubt that nutrition plays a role in it. Think about LeBron and Brady, Rodgers.
Oh, my gosh.
Breeze, Durant.
Manute Ball.
These guys have elite nutrition. Genetics, no question, a part of it. We're not in the cigarette smoking, bucket of chicken eating days. The athletes have completely changed how they prepare themselves for competition. The longevity, these guys are playing longer than ever. There's no doubt there's been a lot of advancements made in that space over the last 15 to 20 years. Many of them didn't pick it up until a certain part of their career. So we'll see what happens when the science and the nutrition, when somebody starts it at age 5 or
Oh,
at 10 or somewhere when they're really young, 15. Let's see what the
that's what
science says. If it needs to be post puberty or pre whatever, we'll see what the science says and what results that yield for some of these superior athletes' longevity in their careers.
I had a conversation with Kel Mabry, former linebacker, UK. Kel has a training facility in Prospect, suburb of Louisville, and we were talking just past combine. You saw guys putting up elite numbers, big guys, agility, dudes jumping. The quarterbacks, some of the stats, like the Arkansas quarterback, these stats are unbelievable. These measurables, and these guys, they're living in the sports science era, where they have access to training facilities. If they live in medium to large size cities, a lot of these training facilities for high school kids, they're not charging a whole lot of money. So you're seeing athletes get access to elite training, weight training, nutritional training, flexibility, hip flexibility, quick twitch, sprint, burst, technique. Nobody ever showed me how to run a 40. I put my hand down, messed up stance in high school, and just ran it. Now you're seeing these guys, they're so polished now, doing the 3-cone, doing the short shuttle, doing the broad jump, and it's access and exposure to great training resources.
I always think about some of the times in my career when I was in the best shape I felt physically, specifically to have to play football, but then into the other sports in my career. And there was a regimen that you get in a groove, combination of diet, working out, the mental element of the game, mental health, sleeping. There was a formula, speed training, speed agility training. Unfortunately, it was only a percentage of my career that I felt like I was at the pinnacle of who I was as an athlete. When the time comes, and I've got some children of my own, when the time comes and they get really serious about pursuing athletics, it'll be awesome to be able to share with them what some of that setup could look like, maybe some of the commitments you make in a few of those different areas. It's more readily available. You have people like Mikhail that have gyms, many other people local that have gyms. There's more information out there. We're only going to see more evolution in athletics, college football, so on and so forth, as people commit to some of the new research and studies out there for high performance.
Let's talk more about that algorithm. This is always intriguing for me. My algorithm's kind of bewildered, and that's representative of me because I probably am too. I subscribe to a lot. I subscribe to far left, far right, pro-union, pro-liberty, cat videos, dog videos, geopolitics. So my algorithm's all over the place. And over the past month, we've seen all kinds of stuff from a political perspective. Saw the news with the Utah athletic department laying off staff now that they have PE involved. They're starting to lean things out. I think we're going to see that happen everywhere. We've talked about how that started happening at Vandy with some of their SID positions. I've seen the LSU Ole Miss fans on the algorithm playing which fan base is the most racist. Some of those videos circulated around. Thought that was pretty funny and humorous. Andy Bashir. Andy's been on my timeline. He's starting to look like he might be a legitimate presidential candidate in 2028. He's been on the timeline ever since he got involved with some of the university hires there with the new law school dean, but also putting a comment out there about some of the contracts and some of his concerns there. So, Andy, I've seen some Little Debbie snack cakes, and I haven't had snack cakes in years. I don't buy them, but that was on my algorithm. And now World Cup. The algorithm somehow knows that I like soccer, I like World Cup. So, starting to get some of that content as well. What are you seeing new on your timeline?
Man, how about the Kevin Hart roast?
Oh,
A lot of back and forth in the Kevin Hart roast. And
about it going too far.
you know, if anybody's gone too far, is it in the spirit of the roast? Racial jokes, fat jokes, sexist jokes. I mean, it's a roast. I personally don't think anything's too far. That's my personal opinion. It's a roast. But there's people that have these sensitivities, and maybe they're a little bit more sensitive to some of the jokes. But yeah, that's been in my algorithm. Drake dropped, Iceman, beef with Jay-Z, beef with Kendrick Lamar, calling out DJ, Iceman. It's been part of my algorithm. Got to stay plugged in on the recent music. What about Drewski? Drewski and some of his
Drewski's
hits.
been on it. Yeah, he's on the algorithm. He's part of the
Drewski's in
culture.
algorithm. I heard somebody say it today. I think it was Mark Lamont Hill. He said Drewski might turn into the modern version of Dave Chappelle, and some of the things that he's done in his skits turn in real things that happen in society into comedy. Specifically, he's had skits about political figures, people in certain communities, specifically the Black communities, pastors in the Black community. So that's been a big part of my algorithm. Theo Vaughn, he's always in my algorithm. The guy's hilarious. Love that guy. I think there's something endearing about him too. Both of my parents being from Louisiana. I think he's from Louisiana. So there's just something culturally about a guy like Theo Vaughn. I mentioned sports, golf. Golf's always in my algorithm.
Never.
It's always in my algorithm. That's the dream, right? The dream is to play golf. NBA Finals.
Yes.
NBA Finals. He's in my algorithm. You know, what's Wembanyama going to do? The Knicks. Are the Knicks going to get it done? You know, that part's in my algorithm. You got to have some UK in your algorithm. I'll tell you what hasn't been in my algorithm, an athletic director at the University of Kentucky. I've been looking in my algorithm, trying to figure out where that is.
Rumor Boise State. I got insider information there too. I know that there's some names of some people who have formally submitted their name into the pile as well that have the credentials. So that's been in the algorithm a little bit.
Yeah, not mine. I'm still looking. It's crickets in my algorithm on athletic director. Maybe I need to follow some different sources, figure out, read some different tea leaves.
Demetrius Liggins. Demetrius Liggins resigning is in my algorithm tonight. Fayette County Public School Superintendent. You mentioned Louisiana. There's a concerned citizen down there by the name of Gary Chambers, who has been in my algorithm a lot. Brother's very sharp. He's fun to follow. Listening to him spar with some of the local politicians down there in Louisiana. Ja Morant. Juneteenth coming up. That started to slip into the algorithm a little bit.
I had a proud moment with my son. My son explained to me the meaning of Juneteenth, why it's important. We talked through that today. That was one of the car ride topics. He surprised me. I didn't even bring it up. He brought it up. I said, hey, something's going on. We talk often about history, Black history, American history. For you and I, it's synonymous. Those two histories are synonymous. If my son and the circles and communities we put him in has a pretty comprehensive understanding of Juneteenth, ain't a bad thing. Pretty good thing.
No. What camp were you at this week?
We were at Will Stein's UK football camp. My house, it's already the summertime because the kids are out of school. And that means acting like I don't hear them tearing the rest of the house down while I'm trying to work. Camps are too expensive, so you got to be judicious with what camps you get them in.
The age is on that.
Both of my sons were there, one's 7, one's 10. But I think they go by grades. I got one going to 4th grade, one going to 2nd grade. Probably like 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Next week they go like 5th, 6th. I saw my guy Jacob Llewellyn there.
Yeah.
A few others. So it was good, man. They run a good camp.
Yeah, Josh Pruitt's doing a really good job over there running point on a lot of that stuff. Especially on these recruiting weekends. My goodness.
So they're rolling. It's even bled over to Mark Pope a little bit.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Trying to think what else has been in the algorithm new. Oh, Chicago Bears have been in the algorithm. Yeah. The Hammond Bears.
The Hammond Bears.
Not to be confused with Ham and Bears. The Hammond Bears are in the algorithm. I was actually up in Chicago about 6 weeks ago and was having a conversation with some locals up there about that ongoing feud, whatever we want to call it. It's just business between the owners, the family, and the city of Chicago. So there's a lot at play there. I think they're trying to shop the team. And I just think that these are strategies for them to get a prominent group to come in, get the local leadership there, get their ear, get something done behind the scenes. But I'll believe it when the stadium's halfway done.
Oh, I agree. You mentioned shop the team. Team's not going to have the same value that it would have if it was in Chicago proper. Being from Indiana, I spent a lot of time in what they call the region up there in Northwest Indiana. A lot of great people from there. A lot of people that consider themselves pretty much an extension of Chicago up there in that part of the region. Gary, Maryville, Crown Point, Valparaiso, Hammond, Hobart, just a lot of those areas up there. So it's interesting, but I'm like you. I don't believe it unless I see a stadium that's been constructed and the team being there, getting a good sense of who's going to attend those games. Is it going to turn into a situation where they're like the White Sox or the Cubs? There's a difference between the two in the fan bases. You going to go to the game if you live on the north side of Chicago, if it's in Hammond, Indiana? I don't know. It's going to be a whole different deal. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I know it's being politicized. It's interesting. Indiana getting the second NFL team. I love it.
The problem with Hammond to people in Chicago is that They view Hammond as a swampland, literally. And it kind of is like wetlands, marshlands. And they view it as the armpit of the Chicago metro area. So there's already bad connotation for people driving out that way, going to Hammond. And if you take their beloved Bears and you put them in marshland, I think they may revolt, Nuke. They may revolt on the whole situation and the value just plummet. And once again, that could be part of the strategy. Take the Bears to one of the most disliked parts of the Chicago metro area to just send the team down the river. There's one little casino out there. I don't know much about it. Don't know what the table limits are. That's probably the only entity that's truly pulling for the Bears to end up in Hammond is the casino. We'll see.
Like I said, I've spent a lot of time up there. Spent a lot of time in Northwest Indiana. Those people up in the region would beg to differ on the armpit statement. They feel like they're part of Chicago, maybe just with Indiana as part of their address. The people up there from Gary, from Chicago, from Munster, Cedar Lake, they feel like they're part of the region up there. A lot of them are probably Bears fans. It's probably a very pro-Bear community. I would bet some of those folks live in those areas and commute into the city.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not coming to anybody's defense. There's a lot of teams. Kansas City's gone back and forth. The New York teams aren't in. The only New York team in New York is Buffalo. Right?
People ask me Jarman, you've been in New York City? I've been to Hackensack. Is that New York City? I don't know. I can't walk out of my hotel and hit a Broadway show, but I'd like to think that I'd stayed in New York City, staying in Hackensack.
Yeah, New York proper. Or what about Washington? Washington's way out there in Virginia. So you've got Virginia, you got Maryland, you got all these different places. And you said revolt. I'm hanging on revolt because, look, NFL team works in Green Bay, Wisconsin. NFL team works in Buffalo. NFL team worked, like you said, in Kansas City. It's worked at times in St. Louis. NFL is NFL, man. Those people don't go to the NFL team. It doesn't matter where it is in this country. They're going to go.
People laugh when I tell them my favorite stadium that I played in was Soldier. And people laugh. But I loved it. I absolutely loved the Soldier Field experience. It just felt authentic. Mm-hmm. I've been in Jerry World 3 times. Oh, it's great, right? $1 billion stadium. It's great, right, for what it is. But there was something about Soldier Field that felt magical.
I think it's one of the oldest,
just felt authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of the oldest. You know, when you got 9-year-old sons and they're flipping through, Tube Kids and all these shorts. But they named them the Bears because they were trying to do like a spinoff from the Cubs. So
I thought you were going to say something about the Bernstein Bears.
No. So the Cubs were there first. The Cubs were a successful baseball organization. Obviously, baseball, America's pastime. When they went to try to decide what the team was going to be in Chicago, they went with the Bears because the football players are usually bigger. And they already had the Cubs. The Cubs were the little version. The Bears were the big version. That's how they landed on the Bears. Guess there weren't a lot of Bears on Lake Michigan. I don't know. But yeah, so that's how they kind of came up with it. We'll see what happens. I'm like you. I think time's going to tell. That's been a little bit in my algorithm. Usually it's before and after a SpaceX short and what's going to happen with Elon and SpaceX. But yeah, that's been in my algorithm.
Is that stock advice a SpaceX short or a short video? Could
short
you elaborate?
Video. That's an entendre, is what they call it.
Oh, okay. So for the time being, Northwestern is going to have the best facilities in Chicago until the mayor there and city council and the next ownership group decides how they're going to do this split, how much the taxpayers are going to pay for, how much PE is going to pay for.
I think people are on to the strategy of these very wealthy owners and using public money to fund a lot of their wealth. And I think people are on to it. I think that's what Chicago is fighting back against.
Illinois in general.
Illinois fighting back against it. Are they justified? Maybe. But they also outsource all their parking to foreign countries. And politicians in Chicago haven't always been known to be the most above board. So
no, they have not.
History lesson. I'm going to have that history lesson.
That's no knock on Bo. We're talking about some of the other people.
That's right.
All right, Nuke. We've been in Chicagoland for a while. Let's get local. Let's get real. University of Kentucky athletics has operated as a silo for decades, separate but powerful. Current existing status quo president, breaking it up, aligning everything with the president's office, integration. And I think that's been a little uncomfortable for people that we know who, quite frankly, probably aren't used to being told no a lot. I've heard a rumor that's really exciting, just a rumor, And it makes me wonder if anybody with cojones has actually got on the desk and stood up and said, let's move in this direction. Someone high up alluded to there potentially being conversations about letting students take on more game day and operational jobs on campus, hands-on, practicum experience, work for credit, Berea College-style opportunities at the flagship institution. Not sure if it's just rumors, not sure where they are with some of this thought process, but I can imagine a sports management major managing a concession stand, or a hospitality student running a donor suite, or a journalism student live statting or covering a basketball game. I think it would be incredible. It would be revolutionary. It would turn Kentucky into a lab and get it out of this phase where some people are calling UK just a degree mill, just a factory, and start to give some of these opportunities back to the students. I would love to see this rumor, there be some truth to this, to see some of these jobs, these students get opportunities to offset these sky-high tuitions, paying for these brand new dorms with these Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and being able to work and get some hands-on experience on campus, covering Champions Blue. Should we be cautiously optimistic? Was Jarman just fed some BS? Or do you think that this is the start of maybe something interesting that could be happening behind the scenes at our alma mater?
I think the result will be a start of something interesting. I'm not so sure that the leadership, I'm not saying that there's nefarious happenings, but I'm not so certain that everything that's happening at the leadership level at UK is in the best interest of the university. I think there's some greed and some self-interest that are being served. A lot of times that results in positive outcomes, even if they're not intended. And that's the hope that I have. You and I, we've discussed it on this podcast, but also outside of it, there's been a change in how the university treats its community as alumni. A lot of people that are closely tied to the university, students even. There's just been a change. Not saying it's always been bad, good, bad, or indifferent. I think the world's changing too. I'm hopeful that some of the research that these large systems integrators have come in and provided their consulting, advisory expertise, I'm hopeful that it gets us closer to having a modern athletic department, a modern athletic setup, and that it aligns with the future of the university and where we're going, and that it's going to be good for years to come. But I'm just not certain that that is top priority.
No, for sure. There's probably some pie in the sky, but if we can do a little bit of it here and there, then we try to do some of that. But just going on what we're seeing now, it kind of just seems like reality.
Look, Jeremy, that's my half full response, right? That's me looking at it half full. Sometimes events of the past have resulted in very positive outcomes, even when those aren't necessarily the intentions of what people's goals and plans and strategy were. I'm convinced that there is a capitalistic way that decisions are being made at the university now. And look, we would be remiss if we didn't say that we didn't believe at times that they need to be. Decisions need to be made that way. I'm hopeful is that it's inching us further to being on the bleeding edge of college athletics and a leader in the space.
We're about 6 solid months into the Stein era. I'll never forget being there for not only Mark Stoops' intro, but also being there for Will Stein's. I just continue to go back to what he said in that opening press conference. Everybody wants to play for Will Stein. I thought it was super arrogant, but not far from the truth. And I just think that when you're coming into a program, you have to be confident. You have to have a tinge of arrogance, especially when you got the resumes that some of these guys have. I think that's one of the things that separates him when he says something like that versus somebody just saying it just to get a reaction like, no more music at practice. You're just saying something that you think that the boosters want to hear. He said that not because Eli Capilouto was sitting there front row or Mitch Barnes. He said that because he knew it would get to where it needed to be. And that's resonated with a lot of the former players. And it seems to be resonating with recruits as well. We talked about it. The only way he can make up ground is if you can double the money. Well, that's not happening. Some of these SEC schools have upwards of $40 million budgets to field their football teams now. So you're not doubling the money. You're not doubling your in-state recruits. You're not doubling your legacy. They do appear to be working double or 2 times harder than some of the other people. They're grinding. They're working hard, working efficiently in some ways. Hell, I think I want to play for Will Stein, but I can't. I'm overweight. These knees starting to act up a little bit on me. But I'd shoot some craps with Will Stein and these guys. I'd go get some bourbons with these guys. I'd sit around, watch some film with these guys. I like what they're building, man. I don't know if you've ever shot craps before, but these dudes, they're shooting 4s, 6s, 8s, 10s, and they're doing it the hard way. They're not doing it the easy way. They're consistently kind of digging in. It just seems like this hard work, this industrious nature that this staff is presenting, it seems to be really authentic. A lot of blue-collar dudes and women that are helping graft this DNA, this culture, this DNA that Will Stein wants for his organization. I'm excited about it. And he has a little fun too. What did you think when he mentioned, did you see some weeks back where he mentioned that he had spoken with Stoops on at least 1 or 2 occasions?
I didn't see that. It wouldn't surprise me that he's connected with him, but I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have kind of been a fly on that wall or a recording device just to kind of see how that conversation went. Who do you think called who? Yeah, obviously there was probably some text messages kind of like in between it and things like that kind of teeing it up. Sure, it wasn't just a cold call, but, like, what do you think said? Like, Will Stein, hey, Mark, man, look, man, got some questions. Which wall's the load-bearing wall? In the weight room, thinking about doing some takes. Like, what do you think the conversation, what was the question that said, yeah, let's get on the horn? I got some ideas on what the real question was. I want to see what you're thinking.
If I know Stoops like how I think I know him, my bet would be that Will called Mark. That would be my bet. I think Mark is very content with his severance package. Content enough that I doubt he's really looking for more added responsibilities.
For sure. That's fair.
Now, anybody that knows Coach Stoops knows Mark's a bro. So it wouldn't surprise me if he answered that call on the second, third ring and was looking out for Will or whatever. Because I think Mark's clearly, he's a Kentucky legend, Kentucky football legend. What was the conversation like? I don't know. That's a good question. I would bet it has something to do with the operation, engaging with leadership. Probably has something to do with what's the right term? Donor relationships.
Yeah.
How to navigate the donor relationships, because there's no doubt that Mark, Vince, others that were part of the Stoops regime had done a good job in that area and really made some progression. So I hadn't talked to either one about it, but those would be a few of the guesses I had.
I think those are really good guesses. And if I had to take a guess, I would say, just to build on, I bet it's hard to manage those relationships where you get boosters that get attached. They get attached to these coaches and their families too.
Yeah.
And just their MO. So now you got a new coach coming in. The new coach wants to meet the program's biggest boosters. But just because you're the coach doesn't mean that the athletic director can get you in front of some of the people that you want to get in front of when you want to get in front of them. I could really see Mark with some of those long-standing relationships that he's had, providing Will with some insight on how to break the ice with some people that may still be upset that Mark's no longer here.
I don't believe Mark is looking for any more responsibilities, but as an ambassador, I could see Mark in a role like that. I could see him in the future. I think he's got a lot of experience that's very valuable. Obviously, Stein and staff, they have a different perspective, a different background. They've really hit the ground running. I think there's been a youthful movement that his staff has brought forth. But I could absolutely see Stoops being a resource for Will Stein.
Any chance you think Mark left Will a letter? Like, there's a long-standing tradition in politics and in the military that when a president leaves office, that they leave a letter behind for their predecessor. I remember hearing that George H.W. Bush left a note behind for Clinton along the lines of, your success is our country's success. I was very gracious and elegant from H.W. It's rumored to have made Clinton cry in the Oval Office, Republican to Democrat. Ronald Reagan left a note for H.W., some along the lines of, don't let the turkeys get you down, whatever that means. I haven't been able to unpack that one. Maybe it's an inside joke. And Donald Trump left a note for Biden that was normal. Bo left one for Trump as well. If Mark left a note behind, take a stab at what you think one of the hallmark lines from the letter might have been.
That's a good one. I'd say it would have something to do with ensuring that you get everything that you were promised to get when you took this job, from administration and those that put the pitch together to get you here. I'd say it has something to do with that. I'd say it have something to do with the fan base and the good and the bad of the fan base and how to deal with the expectations and the day-to-day, the week-to-week nature of the fan base, the Big Blue Nation. I bet Big Blue Nation probably got a shout out in that letter. I would say it probably have something to do with preparing, recruiting, the types of resources, bodies that you need in order to sustain an SEC schedule, specifically since the Will Stein staff doesn't have a bunch of SEC experience. So those are a couple things I would guess might be part of the messaging. Maybe something to do with who you need to cozy up with at the bar at Lexington Country Club. So you can get everything you need there. So maybe a few of those things. What do you think is in that letter?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ponder on that one. I might have to come in hot with a letter if there is one. I'm gonna confirm in the coming weeks if there was a letter. If there was a letter, I'll see if I can get a snapshot of it, get some excerpts that I can share. But I can see Mark, his humility. I can see him making light of the situation and signing off something like, "Good luck, Will. You're gonna need it. The previous guy left a pile of shit for you, but you're the right guy to clean it up."
Sounds about right. I bet it is something he'd leave in there.
Go get you a quarterback.
Make sure you got a quarterback for these people. Because if you ain't got a QB for these people, they're going to talk bad about you.
If there's one thing that you do, average double digits in SEC play. If you can do that, you got a chance. We managed to mess that up the last 2 years.
Let's say you're right.
Our guy Mark Pope goes to the beach, puts out a little video short with a little jazzed up Mini Man from 50 Cent. Mini Man wish death upon me. Did you see that clip?
I did not see that clip.
He put it out on his Instagram. I'm old now, so it could have been like a fake Mark Pope account, but I'm pretty sure, dude, that it was Pope's account, bro. And after that video came out, chips started falling in place.
I see it. Mark went on demon time. He started doing this thing out there. All he needed was just a little something to get the momentum going.
He got it.
Rolling now. Good for Mark Pope. We talked about it for the last year. It shouldn't be a hard place to recruit. It just shouldn't. Maybe taking him to Keeneland, maybe wasn't the best way to handle this generation of basketball recruits. Maybe he's going to visit them now. Whatever it is, seems to be working better. Maybe he's found the type of kids, players that he needs. Maybe they paid that shooter so much money, he didn't have a choice but to say yes. Whatever. It seems like it's trending in the positive direction.
Mark Pope, like, he's exhibiting some of that Mike Gundy energy. I can handle this. I'm a man. I'm 40 kind of energy. I'll never forget being in college and that clip coming out, Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. It was one of the best clips we'll ever see.
Legendary clip.
It was unhinged. It was glorious. It was raw. It was authentic. And I think Mark is giving us that honesty, owning his shortcomings as a coach and a recruiter, speaking directly to the fans, live, taking questions live. Like, who does that? Ain't nobody putting themselves out there like that. You know how our fan base can be. And then the fake fans, they start shooting crazy questions. And he sat in the chamber and was just taking them.
Yeah.
Wasn't even asking, he put a vest on and wasn't asking what caliber they was pulling. He just sat there and was taking it.
Credit to him. Look, that's the one thing we've never said Mark is a punk.
He ain't a coward.
No, he ain't scary. Now, I've questioned how well he aligns, but it's never been a thing with him about fear or confidence. I think you need that if you're going to be the coach of the University of Kentucky for the basketball team. You got to have thick skin. I wouldn't have recommended him do that. Would you have?
No. There ain't nobody on that campus that probably advised him that was a good idea. Just sit there and let them unload these shots.
Yeah. Read your statement. I've been good with that for me. That's probably what I would have done. I would probably read a statement, maybe taken a question or two. But, man, kudos to him. I think it worked for him too, right? I think his approval ratings after that went up. And look, here's the good news about BBN. Then part of this, I'm sure this was in part of Stoops' letter to Stein. The BBN will get on board. You know what I mean? Like, you can do a lot of wrong. You can screw things up. At the end of the day, you still are representing the flagship university's athletic department in this state. They'll get on board. And I think his approval ratings went up post many men taking those shots upon him. So, yeah.
He's just had to get back. Like, he's got to find himself again. If somebody parked me in Utah for a few years, I'd be different when I came back to the East Coast.
Ain't no doubt.
Like, somebody needed to take him, and this is obviously a metaphor, and just waterboard him a little bit. help him remember who he was in college, who he played with in college, who he played for in college. These dudes that was on that staff, the Rocks, the Patinos, these guys, you know what I mean? All these people that he had exposure to, legendary people with swag, still making an impact in their community. The Derek Andersons, like these guys, like he just needed time, in my opinion, to just get baptized or waterboarded again to get a little bit of that juice back. And I hope it's here with him. And I hope he's ready, because this season, man, they're going to try to rip these guys' faces off this fall. He needs to be unapologetic. He needs to be edgy. And he needs to get off in these guys, like get off in their backside, pause, and push these dudes. Make these dudes want to be great. If they don't want to be great, man, just get them off campus. Get them off campus. When the ball comes out, whether it's blue course, wherever you're doing pickup, if you don't see what you like, get them off campus, get back on that plane, go back to Yugoslavia and get somebody else and come back, get them enrolled, get them in summer school. But, hey, man, it's all on the line this year. He knows what's at stake.
Oh, he does. I don't care. This is going to be his most difficult year of his coaching career. The expectations are extremely high. And he's coming off a year. You've got a portion of the fan base that does not believe in him. And he's got to prove it. It's a put up or shut up type year. Despite getting out of the first round, it's going to be his most difficult year. He's going to have some moxie, some bravado. It can't be stubborn. He's got to be adaptive. He's got to have the right mixture of people around him. This is an important year for him. It's going to be one of the toughest years of his coaching career.
He's built for it, though. He's battle tested. I don't see that guy folding. He ain't got no quit in him. Unfortunately, some of his players had some quit in them last year, and I don't know the reason and rationale why that is, but you had some dudes that they didn't even wait for the river. They threw the cars in and they disappeared. And that was unfortunate.
And his daughters let us know by putting sticky notes over their faces in the hallways. They told you who was the ones that was underperforming, that was overpaid.
I love that. There were some people up in arms about that, I heard. I was like, come on now. Get lost.
They aired them out. That was their way of airing them out. And look, you and I both know that when you're the son, as much heat as he took over the last year or two, that was their way of responding. Like, yeah, okay, maybe our pops didn't get it done, but these chumps are part of the reason why they didn't get it done. And they're gone now.
One of the things I like about women is some of their microaggressions are amazing. Those little slights, guys don't do things like that. For the most part, guys, you get in somebody's face, push somebody, hey man, you know what I mean? It's violent interactions. Whereas I felt like the Pope daughters added a little nuance to it. I respect it. It got the message across. It wasn't nasty. Even little kids could look at that and get a chuckle out of it and get it. It was family friendly. But the adults in the room, like you and me, we know there's more to it.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't think they've heard mom and dad make comments about certain guys, whether it be on a trip to El Salvador or it be on a vacation or it be at the dinner table, at the coffee shop, wherever, if you don't think they've heard some comments one way or another about a few of these guys, you're mistaken. You know, they're humans at the end of the day. And I saw some of the uproar about it. And guess what? Them putting sticky notes over them guys' faces was not that harmful, probably in comparison to what was being said about Pope and people aligned to him. Yeah, hell, I've said some things in previous episodes about what I think Pope is and all that. So I'm not mad at him at all. The sticky notes over the guys' faces, it might be petty, but they've made a statement to me, and I'm happy. I'm glad they're supporting their dad, as far as I'm concerned. So, and everybody else needs to stop being so soft.
I agree.
If I see Pope girls, I'm gonna give them some more sticky notes, and I'm gonna say, as you walk by people, just put sticky notes on their face if they look crazy.
That's how I want them to communicate with me this year. That's how I want my coaches to communicate with me. We play the video game and we can look at the attributes and see, okay, man, okay, this guy's a 96. No, I want the Pope girls. I want them every week to put emojis on these people and let me know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I would wait for it. Like if they did this Sunday afternoon after church, just go ahead and set my week off right. So I know Sunday before the polls come out on Monday, I know who got that, who a dog. Like who
Straight
a dog.
dog. Straight dog. Hey, some people need to have a sticky note on their face from time to time. If you mess something up, you saying something crazy, or if you're getting paid, $20 million roster, whatever, you're a big part of that, you deserve to have a sticky note, a Post-it note, put on your face. One from Cynthiana, Kentucky, too. And I think that's where sticky notes originated.
Stop it.
Do I have that right?
You're a liar.
I'm pretty sure that either they manufacture or something and Post-it notes up there. But anyways, if that's the worst they do to somebody is put a sticky note on their face, then you know what? Let them get that off.
The more we talk about it, the more hype I get about it. Like they're on to something here. Like they should put, I don't know what the term is for like best in class feline. Wildcat, put a wildcat emoji on them, put a Garfield on them. If they overeating and they lazy, put the Garfield on their face.
3M manufacturing facility in Indiana, Kentucky is the global hub for Post-it notes.
That's wild.
80 billion sticky notes annually. World inventory of Post-it notes, Indiana, Kentucky. Maybe future NIL deal coming up for the Pope.
Why wouldn't it be?
They're Post-it notes.
Like where you going with this?
They playing chess. The Pope girls are playing chess. That's why they was putting sticky notes on everybody's face that underperformed last year.
You said it was 3M?
3M manufacturing facility in Cynthiana, Kentucky.
Could you see the 3M on the Post-it? So I got to go back and look at it. Could you see it?
I didn't see it, but you can pretend it was there.
What an opportunity, man.
Huge
if they don't do it, we should do it.
We should. We absolutely should. Hey, 3M, this is us paying it forward. The Pope girls, hook them up.
Bro, I'm on it.
Hook them up. Cynthiana, Kentucky, let's go. Hook them up. Great people from Cynthiana.
It's been a long time since I stopped through Cynthiana.
Great town. Good people.
Around the league, man, there's been a lot of cat-on-cat violence here over the past month, specifically around the NBA. This one hurts a little bit. Like, I'm sure you've been following this. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cason Wallace, 2 Kentucky letter winners. Obviously, SGA, the reigning league MVP, eliminated in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals by De'Aaron Fox and Keldon Johnson, who are right now in a fight for their lives with the New York Knicks being led by Karl Anthony Towns. What are your thoughts, Nude, on the cat-on-cat violence? What do you expect in this NBA Finals?
Well, there's always going to be cat-on-cat violence until all the Calipari folks make their way through the NBA. There's just so many draft picks over the last 15 years, specifically during the Calipari era. I mean, it's such a high clip. And so, like you said, you got Cat, De'Aaron Fox, Keldon Johnson. I'm sure we're missing some former Kentucky players.
So much heartbreak.
It's unbelievable. These are people that their careers are going to be changed or impacted forever based on the results of their NBA playoff career. A guy like Karl Anthony Towns, it could be the difference in him being one of the most heralded big men in New York Knicks history if they are able to pull this off. It definitely changes the outlook on his career as a former number 1 overall pick. I would say the same thing as it pertains to a guy like De'Aaron Fox. I remember those head-to-head battles with he and Lonzo Ball when Lonzo came to town at UCLA and the rivalry that they had. And now he had a very successful career in Sacramento, made the move over to San Antonio, and he was playing with the alien Wembanyama, a species that the world's never seen before.
You think he's a new type of alien?
That brother is different. He is different.
I don't think it's a coincidence. His ascent is timed up with the end of 23andMe. He might have been grafted, bro. He might have been created in a lab. Like, I don't know if you've heard some of these stories out here where they're talking about now the government, they think the government out here, that they're buying this data because they're looking for these new species of aliens that are walking amongst us. And you're right. I think the only reason why Wemby is still present is because I think he has to. He has to play.
7'4", Jeremy. 7'4", 7'5". Pull up threes, handling the ball, spin move, up and under, step throughs. 7'4".
FEMA can't quarantine that.
No. I think the only thing that'll get him will his body hold up.
Yeah, genetics.
Will his body hold up? Will it be good for him to gain the weight? He's got to gain the weight to take the beating. But will that be good for him at 7'4"? How much weight?
Start thinking it up like Shaq and Yao Ming did.
Yao Ming didn't have a long NBA career, but Yao Ming and Victor are not the same. They are not the same.
I'm going to close this out with a hot take. And
Okay.
get your seatbelt on. Go ahead, strap in, do the two, like the crossover.
Double hardest.
Like fake NASA, put the one on because you got a lot of G-forces that's going to hit your chest here. So I want you to be safe. Conservative politics will drive a wedge between black athletes and Southern universities. Not tomorrow, not next year, but it's coming. And here's why. Black athletes are already having conversations about post-playing opportunities, not just draft position, but quality of life, safety, community, sticking around in communities where they can raise families, whether their families feel welcome at games in some of these places. There has been a tremendous awakening in the past 2 years in the black community in the United States. Didn't talk about that much on the algorithm this week, but I'll break some of that down here in the future. You hear things about Taylor Swift taking her parents on tour with her. Why is that significant? Because you don't see a lot of superstars on that level take loved ones with them on the road. I saw Deion Walker do that going into his last year at the University of Kentucky. His family moved to Lexington to be with him, be surrounded by him in a time period in which he was able to be compensated and he could provide support for his family as well when they came to Lexington to join him. I think that this is a trend that will continue to increase where some of these student athletes will opt to go to places and communities and potentially relocate from a small town in Alabama or a small town in Kentucky to a place with a more robust and booming economy where multiple siblings, parents could potentially relocate, get another job in a different city, and change the trajectory of their lives. I think this opportunity is becoming real for some athletes. It's not just nostalgia through NIL. Families can relocate, support structures can travel. And if a university in Ohio or Oregon or California or New York offers a better playing ecosystem and post-playing ecosystem than a school in Mississippi or Alabama or even Kentucky, I think athletes will follow, not out of spite, but out of strategy. The SEC has built its athletic dominance on black talent, but if politics make those student athletes and their families feel like guests rather than family, you're going to see this SEC pipeline get disrupted. There will be a shift, and when it does, SEC football won't
That's
die,
interesting.
but it's going to start to bleed. That's my hot take. I won't apologize for it. Today we've talked about Chick-fil-A, them Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits, bills, basketball, football, boycotts. And we've been serious, we've been absurd, and we've been genuinely ourselves. Morgan, thank you once again for joining us on the LetterWinner Pod. Thanks to our LetterWinner Nation for tuning in to another episode of the LetterWinner Pod. I want everybody, after you're done listening, go hydrate. If you eat some ramen noodles tonight, add that egg, add a few non-traditional seasonings to it as well, and drink your broth. This is Jeremy Jarman with the LetterWinner Pod. I'm out. Have a great week. Go Cats.